Dallas Cowboys at the San Francisco 49ers. 49ers favored by 3.5. Sunday Night Football. Here's a good one. This should be a good game. Rematch from last year. The history. Cowboys and Niners. We're back to the 90s. A Week 5 Game of the Year candidate. And the Niners looking just incredible. Both sides of the ball. Brock Purdy coming off a game where he went 20 for 21. One of the highest EPA games of all time. He did have a dropped interception in there that was negated. That will affect the grade, of course. But the Niners offense is cooking. You don't know who's going to be cooking every single week. It could be any one of 4 superstars that they have there. The defensive line is unbelievable. And we'd say similar things about Dallas if they hadn't just had one dud against the Arizona Cardinals. Just saying, like, the other 3 games for Dallas, they dominated, right? They won by about 1 million. Dak Prescott has second most dropbacks while leading by at least 10 points, right behind Josh Allen and the Bills. Dak, I don't even know what to make of the Cowboys offense yet. We haven't seen them in, neutral game flow situations nearly as often as other teams. So Niners by 3.5 in San Francisco. What are you looking for in this one?
Yeah, I mean, in a way, it feels like a sort of potential big game for Dallas to try and go up against another powerhouse in the NFL and show that you can hang this year and that you are for real. But ultimately, like, nobody ever doubts that during the season. It's the playoffs when it matters. Like, this has been their team that keeps knocking them off in the postseason. It doesn't really matter if they get one back in October, the start of October. But
it does matter, though.
Does it?
It does. It's going to matter for seeding. It's going to matter. I mean, Dallas still has to go through Philadelphia and everything, but I think there's 3 clear teams, top teams in the NFC right now: 49ers, Eagles, and the Cowboys. And the Cowboys might feel like little brother just trying to, get into the conversation, just trying to jump in. This gets them into the conversation. And then they have their chance to face Philly twice. Yeah. They'll get into the conversation. They'll be in the mix for the number 1 overall seed.
Sure.
That's huge.
Does it matter, though? I mean, if
it's like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't make it more or less likely that they're going to win in January.
Right. That's my point. Like the game they goofed away a couple
But it does
years
matter
ago.
because that game in January could be in Dallas versus San Francisco.
Right, but as of yet, that hasn't made a difference. They've lost both ways. They've lost at home. They've lost on the road. Like, the point is, as long as you can't beat this team in January, it doesn't really matter whether you're at home or on the road. And I'm not sure winning on the first week of October, changes that at all.
You're like the worst hype man ever. I mean, imagine you. You talk about Joe Rogan all the time. Oh, he can hype it all up. You're just like the opposite. I'm over here trying to tell you about it's the game of the year. Yeah. The boss is calling it. He's trying to get some good ratings and everything. And you're over there, it doesn't matter. It's Week 5. Who cares? I'm not waiting all day for Sunday night. I don't care.
I'm not saying it doesn't matter. I'm just saying
you're not going to wait all day for Sunday night on Sunday is what you're telling me.
I'm not sure it has the galvanizing effect on Dallas that people are ascribing to it. Like, it's an important game because it might give you an indication of whether they're good or not, but I don't know that it matters if they win this game or not.
I think there's some indication that they can beat these best teams, right? Because look, last year the Eagles were a better team. The Cowboys beat the Eagles when Gardner Minshew came in. They didn't beat them with Jalen Hurts. I think they had Cooper Rush the first time around. So Dallas doesn't have a win over the juggernaut that is the recent Jalen Hurts Eagles. They don't have a win over the 49ers in recent history here. Like, at one of these times, they have to get over the hump and show that they can do it. The Cowboys have to show, I think, to me, they're not just front runners. They're not just beat up on the Giants in primetime in the rain, right? They're not just beat up on the Patriots. They're not just beat up on teams. And I think they're more than that. I think they're absolutely more than that. And the consistency factor, though, with Dallas, bringing it week to week. They're going to have to bring it this week. And that game in San Francisco was a huge disappointment last year in the playoffs. Because the Niners didn't play great. I don't think they didn't dominate or anything. Dak had some turnovers, and Dallas was unable to take advantage of their opportunities. So now they have a chance to. And one thing I want to ask Bob Sturm is what he thinks about Mike McCarthy's offense through 4 games. I don't think we have much information because of the game flow situation. We haven't seen much. We're going to learn a lot more, I think, finally, in Week 5 here.
We have one of those fascinating dynamics where we could have one of the most amazing one-on-one matchups in the NFL. If Micah Parsons decides to go up against Trent Williams on a regular basis, that's fireworks. Trent Williams, I think, is still the best left tackle in the game. Micah Parsons is one of half a dozen edge rushers or defenders who at the moment have an argument to be the best defender in the game. he's a superstar. If those two match up regularly, that'll be amazing must-watch TV. On the other hand, on the other side of the line is Colton McKivitz. And if you're Micah Parsons, why would you spend a single snap against Trent Williams? Like, for the challenge? Like, what's the point? Micah Parsons should be able to whoop Colton McKivitz every single snap.
So can DeMarcus Lawrence, though.
Yeah, but, I mean, Parsons is better. So why would you do it?
It's easier to attract more attention. You might get a one-on-one with Trent.
I mean, even if you could dictate that he's going to get an extra blocker over there every single snap, that's worth doing for the that's worth sacrificing yourself to do that. I never understand in these dynamics, like, why you would ever spend any of your snaps against the good player when you can instead identify the crappy player and just go nuts on them.
But we also know the Cowboys will move him around. I mean, Micah Parsons has an advantage against everybody, but he'll have a chance against the guards. They'll stunt a ton, as you've highlighted many times. It's a challenge for this 49ers offensive line, which, by the way, when we look at pass blocking grade, they're in the bottom third of the league as well.
Yeah, it's not great.
And despite, again, maybe we have underrated Brock Purdy a little bit. He's under pressure. They're dealing with the blitzes a lot, and Purdy keeps delivering. Three teams are in a different stratosphere as far as team pass rush grade goes, and two of them are in this game. Niners are number 1. Cowboys are number 3 in PFF pass rush grade. The fourth team is the Rams, and they're about 10 points behind the Cowboys. So the best pass rush teams in the NFL, Niners, Browns, and Cowboys. So we're going to see just elite play along the defensive line, and I think for both offenses, it's going to be how well do they handle that.
Yeah, and Dallas have been generating pressure at just an absurd rate relative to everybody else this year. So that side is going to be a really interesting battle. Two amazing defenses, two amazing pass rushes going up against two very different offenses. Like, it doesn't seem to matter anything in terms of weakness or anything that they face running into this 49ers offense. It's just cooking right now. The skill position players are too good. Brock Purdy's holding up his end of the bargain. Kyle Shanahan's doing his piece. So everything is working. Nobody's able to stop it. Dallas, I think, have some more question marks because we've seen them at least run into something. But, I mean, this should be, just in abstract terms, in a single game, it should be a really exciting game to watch. I just don't know that it matters who wins.
Do you know if Brandon Cooks is healthy? We don't have injury reports here.
No.
So when I say we don't know much about Mike McCarthy's offense, or even Dak so far this season, average depth of target is 6.2 for Dak Prescott. And I don't think it's because it's systematically conservative or anything. It's really because they've been playing with massive leads for the most part, other than week 3 when they had to play catch up against Arizona. So one of my offseason takes was, hey, Brandon Cooks is a huge addition to Dallas. Lets Michael Gallup becomes the best number 3 in the NFL, and you've got these young tight ends that are athletic, and CeeDee Lamb's your star. Like, this is the game. I think they have to show all of that. Whether Cooks is out there or not, they have to show that. I think this has to be a game where Dallas is throwing the ball down the field and flipping the field and making big plays. I don't expect the dink and dunk Cowboys offense that we've seen 3 out of the 4 weeks here.
Last week, probably their 3 biggest receivers ended up being Jake Ferguson, tight end, Jalen Tolbert, the rookie that I liked coming out and then did absolutely nothing in his rookie season, and Michael Gallup, who spent last year basically recovering from being hurt. Like, if those 3 actually end up being significant parts of this offense, on top of the CeeDee Lamb dynamic and Brandon Cooks, when he's healthy, like, that's an incredible group if that was for real. Now, it was against the Patriots, who, yes, have a very good defense, but once Christian Gonzalez went down, basically had no cornerbacks. So that's going to help. But still, that was, I think, an encouraging sign for Dallas that those 3 in particular were like the 3 biggest receivers in that game.
Dallas's run defense has been a big question over the last couple of years. A little hit or miss this year. Played well against the Jets in week 2, got run over by the Arizona Cardinals in the game that they lost in week 3. Christian McCaffrey and the Niners, I was half joking yesterday on Twitter. Yeah, I got into MVP discussion, Sam.
Ooh.
Yeah. I hate him. I don't like him. But you also know, on Monday morning, when we wake up on Monday morning, no matter how it happens, unless Micah Parsons, here's 3 scenarios, right? Dallas wins, and people are like, I didn't think about it, but Dak Prescott should be in the MVP conversation because Dallas just won, and they're 4-1. He's not in the conversation today, but if they win Sunday night, people are going to say Dak's an MVP. Unless Micah Parsons has like 5 sacks. They're going to say, well, Micah Parsons is the MVP. He's better than Lawrence Taylor. The other option would be the 49ers win, and then it'll be Christian McCaffrey is the MVP. Or maybe Brock Purdy starts to get some love because the stats are out of this world.
McCaffrey's already getting the MVP,
McCaffrey's
right?
already getting a little bit. But when we wake up Monday morning, if the Niners win, McCaffrey does his 100 yards, couple scores, the answer will be McCaffrey. I will say, though, of all the running backs that we've poo-pooed as MVPs over the last couple of years, is McCaffrey the best? To me, I think McCaffrey and maybe Derrick Henry might have the best cases as the drivers of this offense. Not even the drivers of this offense. It's really difficult to say with the Niners because Ayuk and Debo and Kittle are there. But the Niners still do a great job of putting McCaffrey into the scheme. He's creating big plays, pass game and run game. And the offense, it was with Purdy too, but the offense has been completely different since they traded for Christian McCaffrey.
But that's the thing. It's there's always a confounding factor.
Very confounding, I know. I'm just saying, so McCaffrey should have some success, I think, on the ground against Dallas. When they've been challenged by a good running attack, which they haven't much this year, I think the Niners have some success here.
Mm-hmm.